So my mom said we could have a bidet in our next house. And you might say that's such a stupid thing to make a video about. But this isn't about the bidet. If you don't know what I'm referring to, I made a video like a few days ago where I was talking about how change is scary and how I was grieving the loss of tiny little things that were going to change in my life when I move out of here, out of Italy. And one of the things I was going to miss is the bidet. You know, my mom, bless her, like she saw that video and she messaged me and she said, you know we can have a bidet put in even in Turkey, right? And I don't know why that never occurred to me as a possibility. I guess I just assumed that was like an impossibly expensive thing to do. And she was like, no, it can be done. One of our neighbors was doing it every time she moved. Even when she was renting, she would have a bidet put in. And I was like, huh, okay, interesting. But this isn't about the bidet. This is just to say, like, it made me realize how I was holding on to tiny little comforts of my, current reality, of my current life. I was letting those comforts hold me back from moving on with my life because I was so scared of losing them. The thing about autism, maybe if you don't know, is that it's very difficult for us to find a comfort zone to begin with. Like, it's very hard for us to find a comfortable place in this world for ourselves. It has to do with, like, the sensory stuff and just not fitting in anywhere. So when you find that with a person in a life that you build with a person, it's like, it's extra hard to let that go because there's this fear of never being able to find that comfort again. And it can be the smallest things, like a freaking bidet or cuddling on the couch, getting a back scratch, just like any sort of physical touch, right? Or just the comfort of having a person that you know is not gonna freak out on you or hurt you in any way. I think that has to do with trauma. But all of those things, they're what made it so hard for me to let go of something that I already realized it wasn't working like 2 years ago. I realized that, but I wasn't ready to let all of this go. I was ready to fight for it, which was kind of futile. Now, in retrospect, there was a really strong part of me that just didn't believe I could find that ever again with anyone else. The level of comfort that I had in this relationship, which took a long time to build. Like, we were together for 8 freaking years. That's a lot of commitment and investment, and like, it's an emotional investment, right? So you don't want to let it go. But at the same time, truly what was the last straw for me was like the last year where she was finding every excuse not to have sex, and I was like feeling really unwanted. It just had to get to a point where I went, oh, you know what, I would rather just risk being single for the rest of my life than settle for this. Like, that's literally where my brain had to get to for me to let this go. Like, I'm okay being alone if this is all I'm ever gonna get from this relationship. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it took me getting to that point to let this go, which is a lot. And, that's on my autistic brain. Like, it really needed to weigh all of the options and make sure I'm making the right decision. Saying I was scared would be an understatement. You guys, if you've been following us for a while, you'll know, like, we were in a codependent ass relationship. Like, we were attached to each other's hip, So that was a lot to release, but like, it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. Because now that I'm out, oh my gosh, you guys, now that I'm out, I'm able to process the pain of it all. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was in it, right, I was in so much of a survival mode of like, just make it work, just get through the day, just make it work. And you don't realize how much energy it takes, at least for me, it was taking, to keep a relationship alive. or like keep another person happy in your presence, it takes so much mental energy because they do expect something from you. Relationships are transactional. Like, there is really no such thing as unconditional love. Every relationship is transactional. It's just like you have to make sure that you're happy with the transaction you're getting and giving, and that's going to be a good relationship. But like, every relationship is transactional, tit for tat. Like, you give me this, I give you that, and the amount you give is just like, when you feel like you're not getting what you want out of it back, it becomes very draining, because it is constant care, it is constant attention, attentiveness. All of that was like taking so much of me away from myself. All of that focus I was putting on the other person, on the relationship, I could have been putting on myself, you know? And once it ended and I could get that energy back, it felt like a recharge. I had more energy, like overall, I had more energy. It's crazy. Like, on a physical level, I had more energy to work out, I had more energy to go for walks and cook for myself and just take care of myself, you know? And it all hit me later on, this delayed processing, like, it all hit me literally months after the breakup, of how much it was hurting me, the level of abandonment I was experiencing, but within the relationship. I'm not going to go too much into it, but it was really painful to realize how much I was already alone, you know, and how much I was just like trying to cope with that feeling of loneliness within the relationship. That is what hit me afterwards, when I finally felt safe enough in my own energy, in my own presence, to like process how it all felt. Because like I was saying, because it takes so much mental energy to keep it afloat, you don't actually have the energy to process what you're feeling in that moment. So it's after the fact that it all hits you, like, oh fuck, that was actually painful. And something cool about living with your ex for a while is every time you're in their presence, you're kind of hit with the memory of what it felt like to be with them. And when it feels like a knot in your stomach, you're like, oh, I made the right decision, because this felt awful, and this was like this day after day after day after day, like year. Like, a lot of delayed processing, I know. Maybe I'm just a little dumb or like a little slow, but I do have like emotionally delayed processing. Not sure if it's due to autism or trauma or both. It is what it is. So there have been people like reaching out to me saying that, oh, you're so strong, like I couldn't ever do what you did, but I'm in a similar situation as you, something like this. And that's really kind, but I don't think I'm that strong. That's why it took me 2 years. Honestly, maybe even more. I'm not even sure. I'm not brave. I just got to a point where it was enough. And I think that changes from person to person. Like, the last straw might be different for each and every one of us, but I think in a relationship that's not working, that's not a good give and take, that's not a even transaction, right? Like, no matter how much you try, it's impossible to keep it afloat. At one point, it's going to reach a breaking point for somebody. I do kind of feel like life is happening to me as I'm watching it, so I don't necessarily think I'm brave. I'm just like letting it happen to me and then dealing with the consequences as it happens. I mean, I'm trying to just like make the most self-loving decisions every day. That's all I can do. But in the long run, I have no control over this game. I'm just making the next right move, like the most self-loving decision for today and for tomorrow. And that's all I can do. Hoping it's gonna lead me somewhere nice. I mean, it's already feeling better than it was before, so I guess in that sense it's working. And I'm really grateful for everyone who's like watching and commenting and, you know, staying connected. It feels so nice to know I'm not all alone in this. Like, that was one of my biggest things growing up, is I felt so alone in everything. All the abuse, like all the dysfunction, all the suffering. I felt so fucking alone. Nobody could see. It was all happening behind closed doors, you know? So maybe that's why I overshare everything, because it felt really bad to like feel so invisible. Thank you for being my internet friends. This is how I connect with people. I'm pretty much alone other than this, so this is my way of not being completely antisocial, I guess. Okay, is that all I wanted to say? I think so. But I'm really looking forward to that bidet idea. Like, thank you, Mom. That was a solid take on that. It's amazing what you think is impossible. Definitely there was part of my brain that was like, it's impossible that I'm going to connect with somebody this much ever again. It's impossible. But now I'm trying to rewire that thought pattern, and I'm trying to tell myself, I'm always quoting Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in my head. I'm like, nothing's impossible, Charlie. You know, the grandpa says, nothing's impossible, Charlie. I like that movie. Anyway, with Johnny Depp. Have you seen that version? It's kind of weird, but I like it. Tim Burton directed that one. Anyway, nothing's impossible. Sometimes our brain thinks that things are impossible, and we get caught in a cycle and in a comfort zone, and that's not good for us. That we've clearly outgrown. I mean, feeling that unwanted, though, it made me feel like, you know what? Fuck it. I'd rather be single, and I'm pretty sure somebody else is gonna want me. Like, if she doesn't want me this badly, I'm not that bad looking, like, I'm not that ugly. I'm pretty sure somebody's gonna want me. It's just like, the question is, do I want them back? And that's a bit of a difficult situation because I am really picky, but I'm pretty sure my odds are better than staying stuck here and expecting water from a stone. I'm trying to walk towards the river now instead of trying to get water from a stone. Hope I find the river. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video.